is Anivia.
Okay, I think the Rise ban is a little bit out of place. I mean, they have played the Rise, and Rise is very strong, but I'm not sure about it.
Soul Strike said it. Graves is up. Soul, what's up with this pick, man? This jungler seems so good.
Yeah, turns out Graves is pretty good. And it's PvP Steos. He played it 5 times. Great performance. Like Carbon said, 600 gold average up at 10 minutes. So it's just insane.
Also, jungler's up, so maybe Revolta has something in mind here. They had to know they were giving it up.
Absolutely. I'm expecting something along the lines of an Italy now, or maybe a Kindred, but to be honest, I actually really liked Revolta. I was saying that you need to be good at mid if you want to play mid, and Revolta is absolutely good at mid.
Mid is banned.
Oh, you are right.
The
Echo got through. Actually, we did mention this, that if they wanted the priority jungler, they might have to give up Echo, and that's what they've done.
Yeah. Leaving up Echo. Echo has 100% win rate, 100% pick ban rate, so it'll be interesting if this will be his first loss or not.
This is rude. I like it. They're actually going to take Echo and deny the Maokai away from Smurf. Very clever picking here from INTZ.
Now, the reason I don't like this, unless this Maokai goes support, is that this opens up the Vladimir pick for Kira. If they're going to run 2 tanks, he's not 100%, but very likely that he plays Vlad here, and they're going to have a really hard time killing him.
Also, to reinforce that, Echo does beat Maokai, so there was really no reason to take Maokai. On top of now hard random response by picking the Trundle, which is the perfect counter to the Maokai.
And you guys mentioned this, like Trundle's the champion that we've seen from Smurf before. Maybe was leaning on it a little too much, but depending on his lane matchup, probably pretty happy. Trundle has dropped off a little bit in play, mainly due to Quicksilver Sash becoming a thing that top laners decide they like buying. We'll see what INTZ do respond with here, because definitely, as far as red side draft go, pretty curious. Clearly trying to deny Smurf here.
Well, sorry, one thing I do want to point out very quickly on hard random side is that Miracle has played Lucian 5 games as well. So what we're seeing right now is that they have 5 games of Graves, 5 games of Lucian. I think he has 3 or 4 games on Trundle. Hard random absolutely getting all their comfort picks right now.
Kindred Thresh actually the lock-ins there for INTZ, so Revolta's jungler will be confirmed here, and of course, Jockster actually going to take the Thresh away, so sort of a denial pick, but Licrit we've seen can play just about any support. He's probably been the most versatile player, not even just support player, as far as overall picks go.
So this Trundle is still a flex pick, but the looks of it, they really like to give Licrit the counter pick, and looks like Licrit's picking his 3rd game of Tam.
Yep. He's going to pick it up here. Still one to lock in though for hard random, and Kira does not go for Vlad. He actually takes Alessandra here.
The reason I like the list over the Vlad right now is the Trundle top lane, and especially with the Tam King's bot lane, they would have had very little CC on their team, and I think List makes up for that quite nicely. On top of that, they already know the mid matchup. It's very unlikely that we see an Azir or something along those lines, which will do quite well into List. I think List will be fine versus the tank Echo.
If they did have like a tank jungler, then they would be lacking damage. But they have the Graves on top of the Lissandra CC, which will reinforce Lissandra's pick, like Carbon said.
Yep, I've seen a lot of this metagame really, where you take your utility into the mid lane and then let your jungler do the carrying. Maybe a similar setup here, although Echo is a bit more of a secondary gauge. That's Bruiser probably. We've seen a lot of tank Echo mid, and it does seem to be mid lane there for Talkers. Still have to lock down a pick there for INTZ. They may need to make up for some of the damage here on the draft. We've seen Jinx before from Macau. He's been on the Ezreal Jinx train doing a lot of AoE damage, and he will take it there as last pick.
I like this. Well, what's interesting is that they're switching up back down to 2 threats instead of 3. They've played 3 threats most of the season, the week, but they're only switching down to 2 threats now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting how they manage to break through the 3 threat comp versus the 2 threat comp.
Well, we'll have to see what happens, because the players do have to play. Let's get ourselves back over to the caster desk. It's Sifa and Rossi standing by for the call.
All right, you've seen the picks. Now it's time to get into the first game in the series between INTZ Esports and Hard Random. My name is Daniel Sifa Dracos. Joining me, none other than Zach Rusty Pie. I'm just so hyped for this set, and actually really surprised by this picks and ban coming in.
Yeah, it kind of feels like everybody just got their champions. Like, there was a lot of target bans, but there are just so many picks that each team have as a signature champion that honestly it's a shock to me they all got what they got. Licrit on Tom Kench, like, why do you give the man that champion? Just like Bard.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world for me,
Yeah.
too, as someone who, like, you play a lot of solo queue games, like Tom finally falls out of the meta, and then, oh, look, here he is at IWCI. Like, maybe he's coming back. And he's
There's
one of
that
those,
one guy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Exactly. And he's one of those champions, and especially in the hands of Liquid, that can be so frustrating to play against and so hard to lock down and kill the opposing side carries, especially when your mid laner is most likely going to be that tank Echo, who isn't really known for lots of burst damage.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems with the Tahm Kench being on the opposite team right now. INTZ, with the draft that they've put together, I don't know if they want to get to the backline as such just yet. The Echo is more going to be, it feels like they're just going to be controlling the zone in front of the Jinx, keeping the Jinx alive, and just kind of working their way forward as a 5-man roster until they can run over the rest of the team. I think it does start with trying to kill the tanks, which is why they've denied the Maokai, and they've denied so many of those through the drafting phase.
And we've seen exactly how good Macau can be on this Jinx. He has the highest damage share on his team, mostly due to the fact that he loves that Sivir, he loves that Jinx. And in this game, if they start to go late, we've seen exactly what he can do. That Detonation Focus Me game, I know you're not always excited to think about the 65-minute games you've casted before, but we've seen exactly what it can do if the game does go that late. But here we are, game one, both teams heading out of the base, hard random versus INTZ. No blood spilled yet, but I'm sure we can expect some soon.
You would imagine there will be sometime soon, that is for certain. Both of these teams, they love a good fight. Of course, INTZ with the second longest game time, however, so you have to keep that in mind, that they do like fighting early. Revolta really does love moving around the jungle and enabling his team, but if it doesn't work, they revert to that late game.
Definitely have the options here, definitely have the tools with that Jinx picked up and selected, but one of the big scary combinations that me and Frostgrown got the chance to talk about yesterday was this Graves and this Lissandra mid lane. Seems like once you hit level 6, you just push your buttons and people start to die.
Basically, yeah, one's got the crowd control. As long as someone has a form of stun, then the Graves in this case will be complemented further and can put down his damage. Kura, absolutely right, once he hits level 6, doesn't even matter what level Staios is. He can just work mid lane, hit them with the buckshot, make life miserable for Tokkers, but he's an Echo after all. It was very easy, very hard rather, to kill that champion.
Rough life. Looks like hard random though, looking for a small invade here as the crit starts to go in. Maybe hoping to abuse that Tahm Kench early game tankiness.
Happening again.
It's the blind lane swap, boys. It's everything we've expected. So looks like we will get the lane swap overall. Jockster not going to get the chance to lay down any harass, but the small golems on the blue will be taken. Blue buff not too happy with that. Going to smack Jockster once or twice on his way out.
And it's just a denial as well from Liquid on the flip side that we saw walking in. They actually couldn't take the wolves. They left it as it were. 2 of the 3 have been taken down, but not the big daddy wolf. And that is a very big experience trough that Revolta will push himself towards, only because Staios and Smurf are jungling far more efficiently. He's already got level 2 to this level 1 taking the red at the same time.
And of course Trundle with that bite in addition to Graves with the end of the line are just going to have such a fast clear time overall, and we'll have to see how they utilize this advantage because it's not huge, but we've seen small or good teams, especially these top teams in the IWCI, turn those small advantages into something much greater. Huge trade going down in the mid lane. Talker's just going to have to walk this one out though. Kira, no fear, starts to push forward there.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive trade from Tokkers. I'm not sure that he was planning on even winning the trade because getting the third part of your passive is nigh on impossible at level 2. Kind of just walk sideways.
Not really, yeah. It doesn't, a little too ambitious potentially, but we'll get that level 3. A few more options here as far as engages as INTZ and Hard Random look to trade these towers in what is going to be the first part of this lane swap. Staios headed to the bottom lane, and everything calm so far. I don't think we're going to expect too much action here for the next minute or so.
No, it's kind of like the first 10 minutes of a game in a lane swap are, generally speaking, a different type of game to the rest of it. And once you hit the 10-minute mark and everything standardizes, but there are just towers missing, you get a very dynamic, actual game of League of Legends realistically at the end of it.
Volta dropping low here, clearing out the jungle. Gotta say though, props to both teams getting nearly perfect bounces off the tower. So clearly have rehearsed this lane swap a lot, and while we didn't see a whole ton of these in terms of actual lane swaps as opposed to the upside down lanes, looks like both these teams are comfortable to execute. Although Staios may have overstayed his welcome there, getting spotted out. Looks like they don't really want to commit onto him.
Yeah, for a second I thought he was on the same team as them. They're all just kind of acting casual around each other.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I probably should have been a little bit more excited about the Thresh and the Jinx, but I was like, yeah, no, this Graves, they're definitely on the same side here. Everyone's just happy to farm.
Yeah, like lane swap happened, you know, swap lanes, perfectly fine. No, he was definitely on the wrong side of the jungle and takes a bit of harass, but such is Graves. can casually just wander his way out.
Yeah, quick draw over the wall, make it to safety, not losing really much of anything there. And despite the fact that we don't expect action much before 10 minutes as the lane swap plays out, it doesn't mean they can't fight each other. It's not contractual. It's just more the way things seems to shape up.
Yeah, they're not forbidden. There's absolutely, you've got freedom to do as you would like. And that is one of the strategies that a lot of teams have put in place. Instead of continuing the lane swap through, getting the second turrets in the rotation, just swap lanes and get the standard 2v2. Because you believe that your 2v2 lane will be stronger, however. Whereas in this case, I think they're both very much happy just farming it up. Jinx wants a BF sword. Lucian, I would say very similar position.
Yeah, both of them looking to get a little bit more power. Both have the Cole as well, so clearly not interested in those early game trades or exchanges. Have to point out the jungle already, though. Graves 22 to Revolta's 14. We said that Steos is, on average 600 gold ahead at 10 minutes, and he's well on his way to hitting that mark this game.
Yeah, doing well, Steos. It just makes sense that the junglers from both of these teams are the catalyst to their success, and at this stage in the game, by hiding these junglers, it kind of suits the style of both a Kindred and a Graves. Because once they get those ganks off around the level 6 mark, they'll be a lot more potent.
Yeah, of course, especially looking back to that mid lane, although Lissandra, burning through that mana pool to try to keep up with talkers and that wave pressure, does have a decent CS lead.
It's an early dragon.
Interesting. Kindred going to start forcing that one down as Yang once again tries to bounce the wave, but it is just going to be the trade here. Rift Herald for Dragon, tower for tower. Everything's still relatively even, but Rift Herald, I think, a little bit more relevant here in the early game.
Yeah, so they're actually identically matched in terms of timing. As you can see, nearly to the second they'll get each objective. But the thing about the Rift Herald that separates it from the Dragon is if you can use it to get a turret. But because they've taken both of the outer turrets, they need to pick a lane and work towards the inner. It'd be very hard to do if they set up on the bottom side because there's too early pinks from INTZ. Ideally, they would set up on the top side, but because it's the AD carry, he wants to be safe. Whereas the Dragon, you don't need to get anything. You just chill.
Yep.
6 minutes, you can get another one. Eventually, it'll have a big impact.
Yeah, of course, not a whole lot with that percentage AP AD buff at this stage of the game, but it will scale up for them as Miracle now looking to utilize that buff in the bottom lane, it would appear. How far he wants to push, we will have to see. But back in the mid lane, Kira level 6, Jockers, level 6, and Graves, just finishing that first back could maybe look to put some pressure down here.
Absolutely, and he's only just caught up with the back timings as well. That was Revolta going back earlier, getting his challenging smite, then backing again.
Getting the Hunter's Potion, I guess just wanting to stay healthy here on this clear. We saw him fall pretty low earlier in the game, but definitely behind in this jungle overall, the 10 CS lead for Graves. And additionally, surprisingly, the Echo in the mid lane, 10 CS behind the Lissandra.
So this is one of the other fairly common things as well, falling behind in lane as Echo. There's not a whole lot of pressure you can place down, and your pressure is committal. So you go towards a Lissandra, naturally you're going to get stunned, and the trade will at least be even, and generally speaking it'll be more than even. You'll have a pretty rough time, but that's why Echo is good in the mid lane, because at level 6, you recall, you ult back to lane, you do it again. If they force you to back soon enough, you've got to teleport anyway, but hopefully it goes around the timing of your ultimate. And really you're just pressuring the Lissandra, you're recalling and you're coming back at full health, and hoping that she's missing enough health that you force a recall, where the teleport gets burned.
Solid option, looking to trade major cooldowns for minor cooldowns. Echo ult versus Lissandra TP. Hasn't got the opportunity to do that quite yet. It's Miracle's pushing very far, bottom side of the map there. Volta moving up to the top side. Overall, very calm, very patient game. We talked about Graves just wanting to farm up, and Steos is getting everything he wants in that exchange at least.
Yeah, and that's a very deep push right now from the Maokai, being in that top lane to try and break a freeze, which, to be fair, to Trundle with a Tiamat won't be frozen for long. The only reason he is there naturally is because Revolta's here, and you can see the caution that Smurf is going to put in place, because naturally you do not want to be face-checking a level 6 Kindred.
Yeah, never, ever. Lamb's Respite so powerful, and additionally, level 5 Trundle not quite able to steal out those tanky stats or heal up. A lot more limited in his options, as Revolta will pick up another mark at the Kindred here, making it his second one of the game. So doing pretty well overall, despite being behind in farm, is keeping up on those stacks. As Graves will trade blue buffs here. Neither mid lane are getting the blue they probably desperately want at this stage of the game.
And that's the funny thing about the lane swaps, right? Is that sometimes they just work out too well for you. You end up getting yourselves a couple of marks that otherwise would not be there, and the opposite team can't pressure it at all.
And something we talk about whenever we see Kindred is that there is a little bit of that RNG factor. You never know where those marks are going to spawn. And as you said, the lane swap makes a lot of them more accessible if they do spawn on the appropriate side. So things working out well in that department. But Talkers could be in trouble here.
He's got Kindred.
Yeah,
Kind of just looking at each other aggressively and saying, you pulled the trigger first.
Craze on the bottom side, Kindred on the top. Sandra ready to go in, and obviously very tough to dive that Echo. He has that ult, like we talked about. In addition, the potential to stun with parallel convergence. It's a hard ability to hit, but
It was a staring competition, Sifa. That's what it was. And waiting for the other person to blink.
not going to happen quite yet. And Talker's actually going to use the TP here. Sandra pushing out, hoping not to have to use hers as well, but Talker's not having the TP does open a small window as we approach the 10-minute mark. Gold still relatively even. Small advantage to hard random, mostly due to the CS differentials, both in the mid lane and in the jungle. So nothing major yet. Have to see what exactly they can do with the small openings that they've created here.
Yeah, so they've got big buys, though, on the side of INTZ. So that Abyssal Scepter being finished means that Talkers is actually quite strong. And I would say stronger than Kira by a reasonably large margin. And he should actually start displaying that aggression. Whereas the Devourer almost signals the opposite and that he wants to farm now. Revolta's almost like turned on his farm alarm.
Pretty much is the farm alarm if there's anything in the game. That and Cole, I feel like, are the two items when you see them come out. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not getting the gank for
Corky's
for a
package as well can be considered the farm alarm.
It's actually an alarm, I guess, so that might be a
Yeah.
little bit more suiting. Steos, though, already level 7. Doing very strong, matching the bottom lane and the top lane in terms of XP. So Revolta matching as well. Not a massive difference between these guys quite yet, but CS continuing to remain in the favor of Steos.
A bit of discrepancies across the board in farm, and I feel like that's just where they put their priorities as well as teams. Yang actually finding 10 in his favor is a very curious decision from Ince, but Yang has always been a standout performer from this Brazilian side.
Someone we
Revolta
have
recently stepping up.
Yep. Someone we've really praised, and of course Smurf does get his hands on that Trundle, one of the 2 picks he's been comfortable on, but not quite farming it out. As another Rift Herald will drop. Dragon going to spawn in just 30 seconds. Maybe INTZ looking to continue the trend of trading here.
And it still favors INTZ because the last Rift Herald actually got them nothing for it.
Yeah, and we've seen INTZ, especially with this Jinx, not be afraid to take it late game. And while most teams not really excited about ending the game on a 5th Dragon, it is a very, very powerful buff and always going to be an option.
It's at least a forced team fight, right? And that's something that you may be working towards. So the thing is, the opposite side, like perhaps Hard Random wants that team fight, and they actually want a team fight. So Dragon 5 is a great way to force it for them. It kind of is a double-edged sword, but if you lose the Dragon during that fight, it could be lights out.
Talkers. Steos is not quite in enemy territory, but has to be careful. Could get caught between the Kindred and the Echo.
He is patient.
He just saw Revolta move up. This is an opportunity for him to go in. Talkers, though, just going to back away.
That was unusual. He had his Raptor sense and everything, so he knew it wasn't warded. Now his Raptor sense is going to get a pink ward.
Yeah, Secret Agent Stehos there in the bush. Just
Too secret.
yeah, far too secret, yeah. A little too much
Can't reveal that I can do damage yet.
Can't let them know that this Warrior Enchantment is actually absurdly strong.
That's something that he's actually missing, and it's a very standard thing for most players of League of Legends is you finish a new item and you go and hit someone because you want to know how much you do. It's actually fairly common. But I'm surprised he hasn't done that yet with 3 zeros next to his score.
Yeah, will, however, take the Dragon for himself, so Hard Random getting both of the objectives, bottom and top side of the map. Works out quite well for them. On the opposite side, though, this means that Jinx has been getting a very large amount of farm in the top lane. Now 20 CS ahead of the Lucian. Lucian using the culling here, hoping to even that up. Maybe the Rift Herald buff will give him a bit more damage, although they're just going to back off.
And once again, playing the numbers game, which is why the Dragon was to go down. You'd think that they could contest it here from the side of INTZ, but having their Thresh and Jinx in the top side of the map made that inaccessible as an option for them whatsoever. So smart movement from Steos, regardless, I suppose, of his weird endeavors through the middle lane. He was going for the right thing. Just
Right
looked amusing.
concept. Always kind of tough, especially to keep that Echo locked down. You want to be careful about what cooldowns you burn.
Yeah, I just thought he was going to go on Kindred.
That's definitely an option, too. Maybe giving Revolta a little too much respect here, but, you know, Hard Random more than happy to play this one safe. And surprisingly, Trundle now matching up in the mid lane against the Echo. And Lysandra moving off to take her own blue buff. Talkers will grab one of his own with the help of Revolta. But once again, no one making any bold, aggressive moves quite yet.
That's a really weird sign, actually, from Hard Random, deciding that Lissandra doesn't want to be mid lane. Perhaps they value the teleports from Kira more so than that of the Trundle, but there's a hook.
Crick gonna get hooked up. So
This
is Thick Skin getting trapped up. Does burn it. No follow-up potential. Both teams very scared of the potential for a teleport on other side. Not wanting to commit to anything.
Yeah, I feel like this is because we're in the game, best of 5 now for the semifinals. Both teams erring to the side of caution throughout. Don't want to take big risks when you don't have to, even if it's a good or bad move potentially. It's the game of percents once again. Like if it's a 60% chance of success, there's no point taking it even though the odds are in your favor when you could hold off and take an 80% later.
And INTZ definitely have that option. Once again, Jinx such a late game powerhouse. Macau proving that he can use it quite well. So late game looking like it may favor them, although if there's anything I know about Graves from watching this tournament, it's that all it takes is for him to find his way towards that 80 carry, and he's going to be able to solo her out at pretty much any stage of the game.
Couple bullets in the face and everyone has a bad time. It's just kind of the nature of Graves at the moment.
Nature of reality a little bit too. No one really appreciates the bullet to the face.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, everyone's got problems, but that's a pretty big one.
All right, well, there is the 10 CS differential here in the mid lane. Minor difference between the AD carries, but once again, nothing major enough to be able to force a fight on. Stejos moving up, clearing out vision, small trades back and forth across the map. No one wanting to commit quite yet, though. TP cooldowns available for mid and top on both sides.
Smurf did take it to Yanglo, regardless of how the outcome of that fight was, is because the Maokai just said he didn't want anything to do with it. And this is the Trundle actually showing his prowess in the 1v1, starting to get to a point where he can be considered out of control, even without kills. He doesn't need them. He just needs the matchup.
Yep. Overall, still a very powerful champion, especially against the tanks with that ultimate subjugate. However, what do you think the break point is here for this game? Everyone's calm, everyone's farming up. When do we really expect to start seeing fights? Who really wants fights at this stage of the game?
Ideally, you'd be looking at a Hurricane from Jinx as to when the fights actually continue to break out. You're going to have a tank Echo in the middle lane as well as the tank Maokai, so between Kindred and Jinx, they're the sole carries from the Brazilian team, INTZ. And once the items actually come out for them, the whole team will start to feel a lot more confident because of this. Whereas I guess on the flip side, it's not too far from the same principle. I don't know how aggressively they want to fight. I think they're actually quite content with just chilling out. Their engage is average if Lissandra's not there. And they keep putting Lissandra into side lanes. So honestly, they just need a teleport. They'll engage when they get a teleport.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing that we've seen from INTZ is that after the games yesterday, after playing against Hard Random in a very similar composition that used the double teleports, that used the Tahm Kench ultimate, they know a little bit better this time around than to pick fights, than to get caught in that trap for mobility. Dark Passage coming out. Kira says, just a little bit hungry for blood, but not going to follow up that one.
They do brute force mid lane, however, and they break the turret.
Pretty good start, and now a 2K gold lead for Hard Random. The turret, the extra Rift Herald, and a little bit of extra farm in their respective lanes. Finally paying off for them, but haven't been able to turn into anything greater. No stacks. Yeah, no stacks for you, Revolta. Nice try. No City of the Valor. Smurf. Oh, he's going to get locked down. Stunned up. That's a great combo between the two top laners here, or top laner and mid laner. Smurf now potentially going to get locked down. They move forward. Talker's basically unescapable at this stage of the game. The Echo is just far too fast. TP coming in. Can they lock him down before he gets out? Yes, they're going to stop it. Primera Sangre, the first blood in the first game.
Double teleports to the...
Now they're looking at the Baron. Oh, Rift Herald. It's not even the Baron at this stage of the game. Potentially looking for more blood here. Lissandra going to try to make it to safety.
They can't take it.
That was a little bold to look for the double TP there. Denying the buff, though, so I guess a small positive over on that side.
Yeah, they showed a lot of emphasis on it, but actually they've got Kira as well.
Kira potentially in trouble, taking a decent amount of damage. Can't really duel out Talkers at this stage. Odd pathing, going to take the Claw over the wall. Thresh locking up the Lucian. Revolta in there as well. The Crit going to have to burn that Thick Skin soon. That's 2 stacks. Not going to find the third.
Oh, no, Kira.
The Mountain Dread. A lot of low health bars here on the side of Hard Random. INTZ now setting their sights on this turret or this dive. It's all going to come down to execution here.
Yeah, and Kira just flashed accidentally, or he was trying to ult somebody, but didn't get it off.
Echo on the backside. Talker's looking for the stun. Not going to pursue it. Moving in onto Miracle. Taking a decent amount of damage.
Nice denial from the Tahm Kench, but Hard Random still on the back foot. They make one pick onto the trundle, and immediately from that position, they start to get aggressive. That's all it takes.
A little bit of aggression paying off for INTZ here. Now setting their sights on their second dragon of the game, not opting to take down that mid lane tower. Not feeling comfortable there. But Steos, not a man willing to give up objectives quite so easily, knows he is very strong at this stage of the game.
Aggressive counterplay from Hard Random, I will say, but you can feel, I guess, small differences between these teams start to really mount up now. Like the 2K gold lead, it's not a big amount, but it starts to feel like it's more to the INTZ team. That double teleport, honestly, to me, already felt desperate. Like there was no reason to go that deep for a Rift Herald.
Especially when you've already burned so many of your cooldowns on securing that trundle kill. You've just used the Maokai Twisted Advance, you've just used the Echo Phase Dive, and they are relatively short cooldowns at this stage of the game. But still not a great option. What are your two tanks going to do trying to fight the Lysandra and the Graves? I don't think you're really going to be able to walk away with much of anything there.
Yeah, and the team didn't rotate quick enough to actually proactively move towards that. It was really good communication from them both to teleport around the same time, but a lot of effort for no actual gain besides the denial of a Rift Herald buff.
Yeah, despite the one kill that INTZ were able to secure on that trundle, still about 2K behind. A little bit less now, only 1.5 as they are able to farm up a bit more. Still have not taken down the mid lane tower, however.
Jinx will have a lot of money though. I'd imagine she'll go back and get most of the Hurricane if that's what she's working towards.
Yep, Cole of course coming out. Or Cole completed, rather. It does get the attack speed boots as well as the Zeal. So a lot of attack speed, not quite the Runeans just yet, but decent amount at this stage of the game.
And it may well be a rapid fire cannon. We'll have to see where she goes towards. There's been a lot of preference towards that particular item build recently in this
Mounting
tournament.
Dread, challenging Smite, nothing going to come from that, and interesting to see how that changes. Smurf once again the center of attention here. Really curious as to why they keep ganking the tankiest member of the team.
There is a train of thought that is along the lines of Maokai can't 1v1.
Oh, trying to get aggressive here. He's going to miss the culling snap back on that Lantern to safety from Macau. Actually dishing out a ton of damage in that exchange. Uh-oh, Graves trying to make it to safety, pulling the Maokai back with him on the back half of that flash. Nope, says Tom Kench as he eats his teammate, taking him to safety, and suddenly Smurf is ready for a fight. Now pushing it back in, no one's in his mouth, it's just Tom Kench to the back line. Suddenly Kira among the entire team. Tom not able to do too much, but the Devour stacks come out, and he's able to pick up the Thresh as the team starts to advance. INTZ getting ripped through. Lamb's respite, a brief reprieve as Kira starts to look to get out. Is going to take the claw over the wall. Great movement there with the flash. They are going to pick up Talkers. The Echo drops. Macau, hungry for blood, is going to show up the zap, grab the kill. INTZ are turning the fight. Liquor so low. Jinx is resetting the stacks, but here comes Graves. Double kill, triple kill for the Jinx. What a play from Macau.
That was really well done from Macau, but it was also on the back of a mistake from the Jinx, separating himself from the team. Hard Random's response to seeing the split Jinx was to go for him instead of killing the rest of the team of INTZ and just zoning Macau away. They actually get that backfire on them entirely, and now the Brazilian team are huge.
INTZ more than happy to take that fight, evening out the gold completely and putting so much more gold into that Jinx that she is now 3-0-1. We've praised both of these teams for their ability to team fight, but when it came down to it, Hard Random not picking the appropriate targets, way too hungry to shut down this Jinx, and giving up so much in exchange.
Also going hard to the paint, like deciding that they want to fight. They didn't care about vision, they didn't care about setup, there was no engage available for them. They just walked in and they just said, let's go. And you can even see now the wards on the minimap. It was all INTZ. The complete control of the map.
Yeah, yesterday it was Hard Random punishing INTZ for overstaying their welcome, abusing that map mobility, but today it's INTZ turning it around against Hard Random and doing incredibly well, playing patient, forcing Hard Random to make a move. And I don't even know if Hard Random has to make a move, but you can tell that they're hungry for blood and that they want those fights despite those potentially poor setups.
Yeah, both teams have got that inkling of we need to fight still there. And you can't actually get that away from them. It's just ingrained in them right now. They will start breaking out in these fights very soon, you would imagine, as the items are done.
Of course, as we look at Revolta here, you can see 28 stacks on that Devourer, so close to sated, in addition to 4 stacks on the Mark of the Kindred. So he is pretty much exactly where he wants to be at this stage of the game. Maybe a few more marks would be ideal, but sated Devourer at this point in the game, not too bad at all. Start to dish out so much more damage in those fights.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a scary Kindred as the fights go on and the game continues. towards the later stages of this game.
Jinx as well has the Runans, and interestingly, the QSS Macau, knowing he's the only or the main source of damage for the team overall, not wanting to get locked up. Sandra can be absolutely terrifying here.
Oh, 100%. And once the zone use is done, like, their engage tool actually becomes a lot more useful. And my only concern behind that is their engage tool is their mid laner. Whereas INTZ, they've got their Maokai who can go in, they've got the Echo who can go in, and even a Thresh hook.
It's technically their mid laner too, but it's the difference between a tank Echo and a Lissandra. Echo can go in because nothing is going to kill him, whereas Lissandra has to go in because she's the only option.
That, and they've got other options. Like a Trundle Pillar is only going to catch someone out of position. The Tahm Kench needs to hit someone 3 times before he can technically engage. He can only really hit the tongue for a slow. And it means that a lot of emphasis is actually just directly on Kira, who doesn't have the zone use yet and isn't going to be a tank.
Of course, the 1v1 champion, we'll have to see if his team play can match that. But there is a lot of pressure on him now. Talker's looking to take this blue buff. Lissandra, nope, that one belongs to Kira. Unfortunate for him, but no real huge advantage. Dragon, of course, the next big objective on the map. INTZ looking to get their second hard random, potentially looking to secure their third and that movement speed. As Macau with the completed Runans is quite easily clearing out the waves here in the mid lane.
And I'm hoping that the Mortal Reminder is actually picked up by Miracle as his third item. And that's actually really important. He goes towards it because of the Echo build that they have right now. Yeah. Spirit Visage actually being able to heal you by an increased amount with Echo's ultimate means that he's going to be healing for too much.
Yeah,
and
far
as a
too
tank
much.
Echo, you want to be able to reduce that as much as you can.
Additionally, you can reduce, I believe, the Kindred healing on herself coming out of that ultimate, and Jinx, who will inevitably build lifesteal. So seems like the right choice here, especially as the more tanky the members of the team can't really be your priority.
Teleport through in.
Echo getting aggressive here, moving in. Liquor taking a lot of damage. Miracle kind of zoned out from the fight here. Lissandra over the wall, though, finds her way into the back line, is going to throw out the thing, going to ult herself. Jockster pushing up and moving forward, but Macau is completely untouched. Pillar moving forward. Suddenly, the Trundle is exhausted, looking to find his way in the back line, but Steos grabbing kills left and right. Hard random find the fight that they need. They shut them down. That's going to be not quite the ace as Talker runs, tails between his legs.
And that's to the Baron. Absolutely hard random. Just destroy INTZ right there. 4 people dead. Talker's the only hope if they look towards this Baron. And there's no way that he's going to be able to try and steal this one. That came down to Kira's engage primarily, but it also came down to Seos being able to 1v1 Revolta and segregate both junglers inside the Dragon Pit. Without the Kindred to keep Jinx alive, they don't have a lot of tools to keep Jinx alive.
Trundle, of course, using that ultimate, just becoming so tanky, flashing into the backline, absolutely fearless at this stage of the game because there is really just not enough damage to shut him down. Well played overall by Hard Random. We talked about how crucial this jungle matchup would be, and here it is. Steos coming out on top in that team fight, and in the end, securing his team, the Baron. Now this is the point where INTZ have to feel a little bit scared. Baron has been the game-breaking moment for so many teams.
Yeah, and coming out on top by 1 hit was the difference between junglers. And it wasn't even that, though. It was, as mentioned, the fact that there was just no Kindred to help the rest of the team. Really clutch to actually kill Revolta. But it didn't matter because the damage was done by causing separation. And that was perfectly executed by Hard Random in that way.
Everything that they could want now as they start to finish up more items. Kira has that Zanya's. Going to be pretty easy for them to pressure this one out. Tier 2 quickly going to drop in the favor of Hard Random, but Miracle may have overstayed. Tahm Kench says, no, we got you. Takes him to safety.
You never get sick of watching it?
Never. Well,
you do
it depends.
when you play it.
Yeah, when you play it or you play against it, you're like, but when you watch it, you're like, that champion is fun.
Yeah,
this is the definition
absolutely.
of fun.
I'm going to go play this champion.
This champion's great. Look at this. You want to have fun? No. I want to have
What
fun.
a great mechanic.
Inspiring. Counterplay, boys. INTZ.
Tahm Kench has a dream. I'm sticking to it.
Definitely working out well so far. Of course, Jockster, interestingly enough, opting for the Mikhail's Crucible, so they are really determined to protect those 2 backliners, Revolta and Macau. On the opposite side, though, potentially working towards that lock of the Iron Solari. I feel like this Hard Random team is all about bruisers, all about getting in there, fighting in the thick of it, where INTZ just have this front line that they absolutely need to protect.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about Hard Random.
Oh, here comes the ultimate.
That's
Echo
deep.
potentially in trouble on the top side as they start to move forward. Talker's taking a lot of damage here. Lucian's starting to hit like a truck now that he has that last Whisper. But just the Tahm Kench ult burned, not much gained.
Yeah, and Echo still has his ultimate, so this is just going to be mixed map play from Hard Random, taking everything they can at the same time. The Tahm ultimate actually puts those three into a risky position because they're against the two tanks.
But here comes Kira, maybe looking for the fight. Smurf is going to be stunned up, but now Kira's here. Yang absolutely going to drop. Can they turn it around? Macau's coming over the side. Lamb's respite going down. Kira knocked out, is going to ult himself, making himself safe. Beautiful ult coming in there. INTZ not going to find a single kill in that exchange of cooldowns.
It's actually just a really big mind game. This is why the Lamb's respite is so important in keeping members alive. Revolta is the essential factor of this team right now, and the catalyst for their success and the undoing of Hard Random, most importantly, because Kira, he baited himself. He actually thought that the Lamb's respite was on, and it was, so that he couldn't ult, because he couldn't execute anybody. And so by the time he got the self-cast ultimate off, it was simply just a heal for self-preservation.
Yeah, definitely not what he wanted. But at the end of the day, Hard Random still walk away with such a massive advantage there. 2 towers picked up. Sandra Graves taking one on the bottom line before Kira teleported up for that fight. 54.4K to 48.1. 6K 30 minutes in. Clearly Hard Random are coming in clutch over the course of this game despite that first lost team fight.
Yeah, absolutely are. They brought the map back entirely with the one dragon fight, translated it to the Baron, and they have effectively gotten themselves a lot of gold through the Baron buff, which means it was quite efficient. Now looking very commanding as they move towards the rest of this game.
Yeah. Of course, interesting itemization. Miracle not opting for the Mortal Reminder, apparently not so much concerned about the Echo and that healing. Instead, just looking to dish out as much damage as possible here.
Yeah, I guess it's a decision of styles. I do think the Mortal Reminder is just the better item at the moment to deny most of the healing. It's not an often seen item, I suppose, but the healing is also an invisible factor. You don't look at the map and say, oh, they've got Soraka, I need to have the Mortal Reminder this time.
It's a lot simpler to look at someone and go, they have more health than me, I want to do more damage, as opposed to how much damage am I actually dealing by denying this healing over the course of the fight. Steo's so scary. 2 members immediately have to back off there. Black Cleaver finished up for this Graves. One of those items that's been oddly popular in the tournament, despite not necessarily being the standard in a Graves build.
Yeah, I'm still very curious about that build. It amplifies the rest of your team, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely an option, especially when you can start a fight by throwing that ultimate across the team.
Yeah.
Decent extra mobility as well. Not quite going to let him reload quick like the attack speed would from a Phantom Dancer or Rapid Fire Cannon, but definitely still a decent option for him.
And it's not the survivability either, realistically, of a Sterix Gauge or something that provides armor or magic resistance. Just opting towards a happy medium, I suppose.
Yeah, offers a little bit of everything. Maybe he's comfortable getting that. He does have a lot of gold in his pocket. Finishing up those 3 items, looking now for the 4th as that Brawler's Glove will come out. Kindred, though, a little bit behind, only on the Zeal, the Sated Devourer, and the Maw Malmortius, so hoping to find that 3rd item shortly, potentially the Runeance Hurricane or Rapid Fire Cannon.
Yeah. Kindred is definitely struggling. I think at this stage, still a respectable amount of damage will come out of the player, Revolta, and the ultimate is still #1. Absolutely #1. Macau, he is everything for this team in team fights, and they need to start playing like it.
Absolutely. This is the power of that Jinx. Despite the 7K difference here, she can still be such a powerhouse in these team fights. She scales so well, especially if she can find that reset that she can get excited. Steos doesn't care. That's a dragon over to the team, and they're moving out. Suddenly, Kira on the flank. Lamb's respite goes down, but Kira still has the ultimate. No, stunned up, chain stun. Can he even save himself? Yes, ulting himself. Beautiful execution on the side of Hard Random. Everyone on the side of INTZ running for their lives.
Got the flank.
Tom Kench coming over the wall. Miracle going massive as he picks up another one. Echo trying to make it to safety, but it's too little too late as Lucian picks up the double.
And 4 kills once again to INTZ. They find themselves another team fight forcing at the Dragon. And this is a situation you do not want to be in if you're INTZ, or Yang in particular, as all of the members are now just going to barrel in and take your base with you watching.
Death timer is looking around 30 seconds for most of the members, slowly counting down from Macau as he hits 15. Joxer on 9, but the inhibitor is sure to drop. Hard Random
still pushing.
Hungry for more, hungry to end this game, put themselves up 1-0 in this series, but can they do it? Here comes the Thresh. Jinx is going to respond in just moments as they back off.
They can't do it.
Settling only for the inhibitor tower, but Yang is going in. They are ready for the fight. The Jinx has the damage. Can she survive to deal it? Hard Random running for their lives.
They need resets.
They need to get excited.
Jinx has the ult.
At this point, they're just getting disappointed. It's Hard Random walk away with the inhibitor. Tower flank coming
teleports, actually.
INTZ never been so bloodthirsty in their lives. Suddenly Steos is caught out. He's below 30%, and Talkers is dishing out tons of damage.
The Jinx ult as
Moving
well.
forward, hoping to get it. Not going to find the kill. There comes the Maokai. The reset for Jinx will go down shortly as Tahm Kench is sure to drop. Double kill moving over to the Echo as Graves dies inside his teammate's belly. Quick turnaround for INTZ, but what is it worth?
Yeah, they bite back massively and get themselves these kills, but with no pressure available on the map. Side lane's pushing, even mid lane has a wave there for Hard Random. They've set themselves up so well, but the only thing the Brazilian team has to offer is the Baron buff. Something that Hard Random, I think, will contest, however.
Still have Kira, still have Miracle and Smurf. Steos 20 seconds away, may not be able to make it. But the damage is here for Hard Random. The opportunity as well. Have to be careful.
Oh,
Kira
Kira
going to commit. He's into the team. Suddenly Miracle's on the back line. He rips through Jockster. No effort. Lamb's Respite trying to save it, but they're dishing out so much damage. No, Talkers shutting down the Lucian, doing his best. Kira trying to make it to safety. So many members of INTZ low, but they're trading blows back and forth. And at the end of the day, Hard Random have overstayed their welcome as Smurf is now sure to drop. INTZ picking up 3.
But they can't get the Baron, so the 3 people were a sacrifice that was somewhat worth it, because INTZ don't get that objective to control the rest of the map and start to snowball the goal back in their favor whatsoever. That was actually really poorly played by Miracle. Kira walked in and had like the 10 out of 10. Like if you could give him 11 out of 10, I would for that engage. The W onto everybody, got the self-cast ultimate off, and smashed through their health bars. Miracle's response was to walk next to the Echo, where the ultimate was, and die, instead of killing the tanks that he has the last Whisper for, specifically to kill.
Yeah, usually my strategy is not to walk in and die, but I think I may have done the same thing in this situation, so hungry for blood, maybe too eager, not respecting.
Well,
you look at Tank Echo and you think, oh, he's not going to have that much damage, and then suddenly you hit that low health threshold and he deletes you off the face of the map.
He's still level 16, he still has an Abyssal Scepter, and he's got the Iceborne Gauntlet, right?
Senpai,
so naturally, walking next to him is going to do a lot of damage.
Yep,
And
not where you want to be.
Like you can kite the Echo, you can absolutely kill the Echo in a 1v1 if you kite him, but if you're going to present yourself like that towards him, then he's just going to take you out.
Absolutely, and that's the power of that Echo. May not have all the damage in the world against the tanks, but can bust through those carries pretty quickly. Left alone, Stayhost could get locked up here by the hook. Revolta actually deals a decent amount of damage. Kira throwing out the claw, a warning. If they want to commit on that, he's going to be ready for the fight. Now caught out, that's not where you want to be. What? Insane damage. Oh my god, Graves.
Yeah, between Kira and Steos, they instantly kill Macau. Macau is the primary source of damage for this INTZ roster. They need to pull a rabbit out of a hat to even look at this Baron right now. Revolta, he has to try and steal it.
Tahm Kench, the ultimate note button, not going to let him get into that pit, and that means Baron will go down. Lecrit dishing out a decent amount of damage. Kira there to back him up. Baron picked up once again for Hard Random. Beautiful pickoff onto Macau.
They're completely out of position, and not only do they get themselves the Baron, Lecrit was basically 1v2ing as Tahm Kench support and winning. That really says a lot about how this game's going for them right now. Hard Random looking commanding.
So commanding. 9K gold lead, moving up to 10K as we push forward in this game. And this is the power of that Lysandre Graves. I was looking at it in the mid lane, completely forgot about that late game scenario. Anytime Macau steps out of line, push a button, Graves shoots every single bullet in his gun simultaneously, and people just start to drop.
Yeah, even the QSS wasn't enough to save him because the damage was just too high. The crowd control was essentially a non-factor.
I believe Mikhail's was used as well, so the healing not enough either. Absolutely brutal, and at this point, Jinx is going to really struggle to survive in these fights when Sandra is so freely able to get on top of her, and when Revolta isn't there with that Lamb's Respite. But INTZ not done fighting quite yet. Trying to poke down Smurf at least a little bit.
He's keeping him busy. That's 2 of them hitting him. He's got his ultimate as well.
Here comes Kira in the mid lane, though, once again trying to shut down Revolta. Does have the Lamb's Respite. Patient to pull the trigger, though. Not wanting to commit quite yet. Kira hungry for blood, moving in. The inhibitor exposed.
Yang wants to engage.
Not going to find the zap there. Baron minions pushing in on the bottom side. They will retake the bottom inhibitor. Smurf, though, is going to take the top tower. Parallel convergence, not disincentivizing him any further. Ignoring the Echo to move in.
In fact, not causing him any trouble at all.
Yeah,
He's enjoying this.
This is good. This is nice, he says.
Oh, you missed the spot.
Not
there
quite
it
there.
is.
Yeah. Lower. Yeah, you got it.
You're going to make me press my ultimate?
All right, I'm going to leave now. I would like you to respect that. Oh, no, I'm going to fight, apparently, says Smurf. He just, I guess it's time. He says, you've earned the
Yang's
duel.
in on Miracle.
The Miracle could be in trouble, but no one is there to follow up that damage. Trying to be zoned out of the fight solely by the Maokai, but the Tahm Kench does so much. Lysandra in the back line. Revolta blown up. Not quite. Lamb's Respite buying him the reprieve. Suddenly, Lysandra's in deep, and as it falls, members start to drop. What a team fight coming in for Hard Random. That's all that they needed to end the game as Smurf back to full health somehow, takes down the Nexus with his team, and they end the game.
Yeah, Trundle just presses that R button and brings himself back to full health. A stellar performance from Miracle and Steos this time around. They come together perfectly. The damage they were dealing was just too much for INTZ to handle.
Just so insane here on the side of Hard Random. What a performance overall. When I see that Jinx and I see her go off in a team fight, I automatically assume that team's already won when she starts going late game. But they just didn't care. That Jinx tried to do anything. Hey, look, there's a Lysandra in your back line, and Revolta, despite the Lamb's Respite, it was never quite enough for them to pull out on top in those fights.
And that's the power of crowd control, right? Like, it's a simple concept, but use the Lysandra, force the summoner spells out of 2 members, and they didn't have anything to back that up from INTZ. They had frontline, so they had an Echo for zone control. They had a Maokai as well who can twist at advance, but he's aiming for the back line. They actually had only really the Thresh to keep the Jinx alive. And with all of the kill threats that Hard Random had on offer, I don't know if the Jinx was the right idea.
Maybe the Jinx, maybe the Echo even in the mid lane, as that is the first loss Echo has seen in the entirety of this tournament. And, I mean, we're going to have to see how they adapt coming into Game 2. But to break down this game, let's send it over to Pastry Time and